Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Life, Law, Fin. Hello, good people. Welcome back to the channel. Today with me, I have Krystin Callender. Now, the two of us went to school together for about 7 years
Yeah,
in college, and we're both pursuing law. I guess shout out to Miss Wells Graves because Miss Wells Graves,
major shout out.
because we were both in her sixth form, well, both of them, their sixth form classes. Now,
Hmm.
today the episode is going to take a difference in format. So usually, as you know, for those who are familiar with the channel, it would be more of an interviewing style. But what I'll do is I'll pitch the question to Krystin. Krystin will answer, and I'll also answer it. So you get a comparison of what is happening um, in terms of our law school experiences. Kristen will bring the West Indian perspective because she's studying online at online at Hugh Wooding, which is
Yeah.
based in Trinidad and Tobago. And as you know, I study here in the UK, and part of the course has been online. Now, before we jump into it, just to give you some fun facts about Kristen, she's an avid sports supporter following the Lakers. And from
Yeah.
Twitter, I know she's a big LeBron James fan. Um,
Okay.
she lets us know, so do not come for him. Kristen will come for you.
Don't. I will.
Also co-captain the basketball team, the UE basketball team to Jamaica. And for those of you who don't know what I mean by UE, it's just the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus. Now we're going to start with this one of my favorite questions. So,
Hmm.
Kristen, could you share with the viewers a brief overview of your experience, of your degree experience, please?
Okay. Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm truly honored that you asked me to do this. My first degree experience was very interesting, to say the least. The transition from secondary school to tertiary level education, demanding more of you. It was definitely more knowledge based. So it was a lot of content, just content coming at you. It definitely taught me how to critically analyze and get out of just writing back what you see in a textbook and appreciating the law for itself. And I think one thing that we did at KPhil a lot was they would teach you the law, but they would ask you your opinion about it. So even though the law is set, you get to put your own input into it. Like, do you agree with this? Do you think that the law is efficient this way? So it's a lot of a more scholarly academic approach to the law. So I would definitely say that that was a very interesting experience. It was very difficult, tiring. We did over almost 30 different types of law over the 3 years with the different courses. But overall, I would say that it was a very memorable experience. And yeah, that was all my first degree in.
Kristen, before I answer the question as well, did you get any
Mhm.
experience with mooting or public speaking as well as part of the course, or any extracurricular activities that you participated in?
Oh yeah, well, I didn't moot, but I was a part of the student council within the law society. So I would have been the sports chairperson. Haha, funny enough. So that would have given me a lot of opportunities to address, my colleagues, put me in certain situations where I had to, do different events and so on and so forth. But it was more advocacy on behalf of my colleagues in the law society versus like a competition setting in mooting, which I think I prefer a bit better. I'm not a big mooter. That's not my lane per se, but I definitely think a more hands-on approach, like what I had with the law society, was something that was it was a very beneficial experience for me, and it definitely helped shape the kind of student that I was, managing advocacy for your entire faculty of students, and still making sure that I took care of my responsibilities, making sure my work was also done as well.
Yeah, that's quite good experience. There's nothing quite like advocating for your fellow colleagues,
Yeah.
because there is a goal in mind. It's not really, as you say, a competition setting, but that is not
Yeah.
all law is about. um,
True.
I remember a previous guest, Mr. Andrew Paul, would have basically said sometimes it does not come down to winning. It's just about representing your client's interests, and you having that
Definitely.
experience helps because you are
Def-
representing the student body's interests. So that definitely
Yeah.
helps. Now, in terms of my first degree experience, as you know, I
Hmm.
traveled from Barbados at 18 to the UK.
Yeah.
3 years, the same 3 year program where we had compulsory courses. And similarly to Krystin, the knowledge you acquire knowledge, but it's more your analysis on the law, evaluating the law, questioning whether or not it is fair, if it is just, if the legal framework is working, and if it is not, what can we do to amend or to change it. So I found it was 3 years of analytical rigor in terms of questioning the theoretical underpinning of fundamentally what is the law. I would
Correct.
say that the LLB equips you with a, should I say it, analytical mind that targets, problem solving, and not just problem
Definitely.
solving on the client level issue. Obviously, we have problem based questions, but a lot of our
Hmm.
questions were essay based, where we were really looking
Hmm.
at the overarching purpose or the aim of the law.
Of the law. Yes.
So I would
Definitely.
say that that's very key skills to going to the workplace, because although we weren't fully equipped yet to deal with clients, at least we acquired the research skills, and we acquired,
Definitely.
yeah, the analytical skills to say, well, hang on, this has to be applied, but do we actually think it's working in the right way? No, in
Yeah.
terms of across the 3 years, I had experience mooting, I had experience judging moots, and then there's several pro bono programs as well that I got involved in, including the Mackenzie Friend and Case Worker, where I assisted persons who suffer with domestic abuse
Mhm.
in obtaining injunctions. So preparing these emergency documents that have to get to the court within the next 24 hours. So I would say that the experience in and of itself was quite a good one. I'd say it was definitely a solid foundation for what comes next.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
continuing now, what advice, Kristen, would you give for those students studying law currently at the degree level?
Well, I have a list here, so I'll just go through these quick points. The first one is time management is key. It is key. It is key. You will not be successful if you do not manage your time correctly. You have to manage time for going to classes, preparing for classes, doing your own independent research, or still finding time to be a human being, essentially. So it's definitely finding a way within your life setup to make sure that you find a way to manage your time efficiently and effectively for what you're trying to do. The next thing I would say is stay on top as best as you can, because at some points you will get buried in the work. It's kind of inevitable sometimes because you're doing, well, for us, we did 5 courses a semester. So a lot of the times the lecturers will pile and pile on top of you. So I think just trying to stay on top as best as possible. Utilize office hours. Your lecturers are there, accessible to you for a reason. Hound them, get every ounce of knowledge. If you're paying money to go to school, get every dollar out of your lecturers, because that's what they're there for. Practice questions, essential. Tutorial questions, essential, especially for how it's set up at Cato. So tutorial questions actually usually come back in exam, if that's helpful. But that's a little tip. So making sure you get you work that muscle of writing and analyzing and understanding and problem solving. So that's definitely, I think those low points definitely. Oh, last thing, have a community. You can't do it by yourself. So definitely look for people that you trust to bounce ideas off, discuss certain things. Like you said, the first degree level is a lot of academic, scholarly analysis of the law. So having people that you can bounce ideas off is very helpful. having people that you can read cases with to help you, because somebody may see something that you didn't, I believe that it's a group effort, and no man is an island, so just make sure you find people within your program that you can, gel together and work towards the same common goal of, getting your degree. So yeah.
Brilliant advice, Kristen. I wouldn't waste time by repeating that because that advice applied here as well. Especially I smiled when you spoke about office hours because
Listen,
those
listen.
you definitely need. And I remember Newcastle staff saying, please come to us in our office hours. Do not sit.
That's what they're there for. That's what they're getting paid to do.
The only thing I would add to that list, definitely take into consideration what you're saying, and also add to this list, if you can find the time to also work on your CV, do it, especially
Yeah.
for those persons here in the UK. Start to think about whether or not you want to become a barrister or a solicitor. And I think, at home, we don't have, not, I think, I know at home we don't have that division, but I still think it would be applicable for you to
Oh, definitely.
start thinking about where you can obtain work experience. For those
Yeah.
persons who are based in the UK, the reason why I'm telling you to do that is because you don't want to lose those 3 years, and it is very easy to lose it in, just doing work and then partying rather than trying to, no, seriously, because
Yeah.
people know that first year doesn't count in quotation
True.
marks
True. It doesn't. Yeah.
as well. Let me chuck in this thing here, and I go into this fact. you know
All clear. Yeah.
yeah, so what I'm saying is try to ensure that you are working on your CV. And what I mean by that is simply, if there are mooting competitions, get in there and do some mooting competitions. For those of you who are thinking about the solicitor route, I'm just going to list them in general. Get in there and do some client negotiation as well. It also helps for those thinking who are pursuing the barrister route. Also try to do pro bono work. So if your university offers that, carve out some time to put that on your CV. It helps when you start to apply for pupillage or to apply for job applications, because what you'll be able to show is, well, yes, I was doing a degree at that time, but I was able to manage my time effectively, that I could also do some work,
Mhm.
some client based work as well. Here's what I have to show for it. Also try to apply for those mini pupillages. For those who don't know what that term means, it's just short term work experience. So you can have a mini pupillage from 2 to 5 days, get in the chambers, get to see what they're offering, so that you can start thinking about pupillage in the future. Is this an environment that I would want to work in? Do I want to apply to them later on? Because that time
Mhm.
flies. I cannot believe that the 3 years have gone by already. So
Listen, it's
definitely,
crazy.
definitely, I think that is crucial advice. Do not waste time. If
Yeah.
you can slot it in, get it slotted in, and don't think you can't, because some persons are definitely able to get it done. So try to make sure when you do get some downtime to definitely slot that in, the work experience. Now,
Yeah.
I know.
If I may add something right there before we continue, um, and to those people who I would say start late, in that, you may not have been, like in the Caribbean, a lot of students who pursue law have some kind of connection to somebody in chambers, so they may have done a little work here and there while doing the degree. If you never really got that experience, it's never too late. You know, just make sure that if when you're making the transition to law school, that you do look to introduce yourself to certain law firms and get out there, because obviously a part of our degree is doing in-service training. So even if you didn't get that experience at the degree level, make sure you maximize it once you transition to the law school level, because it's never too late. Everybody has their own path. So I think law creates this pressure because it's such a competitive field, and some people feel pressure to, well, I didn't work with this person and a lot of my classmates have. At this point in time, it's never too late. Just make sure that you are proactive, because it is you that have to advocate for yourself first to make sure you get those opportunities. So it's never too late. So yeah, I think I'll just add that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And you see, this is definitely why I wanted to set up our conversation like this, because you can still see that there are lots of similarities, but there's still some differences. Here in the
Yeah.
UK, it's very, 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 very competitive to get
Hmm.
it to become a barrister, especially. It's competitive as a solicitor as well, but it's very competitive as a barrister. And I wouldn't think it's fair for me to just make it seem as though you can sit down on your laurels for those 3 years, because
Yeah.
people will be getting out there to try to get the experience.
True.
So I do agree that if, God forbid, you are in that position where you didn't obtain any experience, just know that obtaining pupillage may just take slightly longer. Just try to get it done
Yeah.
now after that period as
Correct.
much as you can. No, I know
Yeah.
we were talking about it slightly, we're angling around it, but we're going to address it directly now. What is the
Okay.
difference between your learning experience at the degree level versus law school now?
Well, I will first start by saying it's a completely different focus at law school. Like we discussed, LLB is a lot of, analysis of the law and so on and so forth. And you get to have an opinion almost of the law. At law school, this is the law, and we're going to teach you how to work within the parameters of the actual law. So it's a lot more practical, real life application. The level of critical thinking and analysis shoots up even more, 10%, even more than that. It's a harder workload, it's a much bigger workload. But I definitely think I prefer law school over the LLB focus, because I think it's a bit more hands on and it gives you the opportunity to see. Because I think for me at LLB level, sometimes the case, I felt disconnected from the cases almost, because I was just reading cases for knowledge based on looking at a judge's analysis of the situation. Whereas at law school, I feel like the cases come to life almost, and because I am now in a position where we're learning to advocate. Um, so for your clients, so I definitely feel like law school is a more practical approach, whereas law school was a more opinionated analysis of the current state of the law. Well, law school teaches you this is the law, and I'm going to teach you my best as to how to maneuver within the parameters of the law, because you know the law can only be changed by the legislature, and we have to work with what's in front of us essentially. So I would say that's my difference between the two for sure.
Agreed. Application, application, application.
This
That
is
is the
you drill
buzzword.
it,
That is the buzzword for law school. Law school is what we at home call breakneck speed, which is it is fast
bro.
paced. It is fast paced.
It is.
Um, I found for me the difference between the law degree and the workload with the law degree and law school is that with the law degree you could be a bit more casual. If you fell
Yes,
behind, I guarantee you that with
you
some
have time to
time
catch up.
you will catch up. In law school, if you fall behind, I I
That's it.
I really cannot guarantee you anything. That's the truth. You
Listen,
have to definitely keep up with the workshops, in my opinion. And deadlines are just rolling. They're coming at you all the time. From the time you submit
yes,
one piece of work, another piece of work.
another one comes up. Yes, that's exactly how our assignments were set up.
It's true.
As you submit one, another one is coming out.
Yeah. And for me, it's law school is I think it's the final puzzle. You are this is the penultimate, oh no, not the penultimate. This is the ultimate stage before you step into the
Yeah.
world of work, taking on a huge responsibility, which is representing other people's interests. So that
Hmm.
means that there is a big focus on advocacy, and advocacy includes oral advocacy and written advocacy.
Yes.
So we learn
Yes.
skills like drafting, we've learned skills like opinion writing well on the
Yes.
course. And in terms of the oral advocacy, you have submissions to make to the judge in a
Yeah.
civil format. You also learn about cross examination and examination in chief. So the do's and
Yeah.
don'ts, the nuts and bolts of what you're really going to need for practice.
Yeah.
For me, I'm in a unique position because it's the bar practice course that I'm doing alongside my masters in practice as well. So that came in and of itself with work experience that I was doing alongside the course, which was even more exhausting. But I would say it was enriching. I enjoyed the experience
Mhm.
because I'm working with real clients, and you start to learn how to work with vulnerable clients as well, how to make sure
Yeah.
you are maintaining a competent standard of service
Mhm.
all the time and following your ethical duties, complying with your ethical duties. So for me, that's the main difference. And the truth is, you really will not have much time. If you do, good on you, and give me advice on how you found the
Please,
time. But
please,
if you
please.
because of the limited time that you do have, I can say firsthand that myself and the rest of my counterparts didn't really have much time for work experience per se, which is, to go out and find something to do to add to the CV. Naturally, for me, that came within my master's, but that's because I had to do it.
Yeah.
It was part and parcel
A
of
requirement. Yeah.
yeah. But I think outside of the course, whew, it would have been quite difficult to put that in, and that's why it would probably make sense. Where I was telling you, if you can slot it in within your 3 years, do that.
Right there, then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So this leads naturally on to how, and I'll take this question first, just to switch up the
Sure.
switch up our
Yeah, the order.
order. How has the pandemic affected, well, my learning at law school? So preparing for the bar. Well, interestingly enough, um, my bar course provider provided a guarantee for us, which was no matter what, in spite of the government guidelines, we will be continuing school. So we will start face to face, but if need be, we
Mhm.
will go online. So thankfully,
Okay.
we did manage to go face to face for a good few weeks, but then COVID really, really started to
Was
get,
rampant over there.
and we went online. But I would not say that that impacted, the teaching at all. It was a very smooth transition. We were in class on one day, and tomorrow we were online.
Hmm.
There were no issues at all. Uh, so I found we used Blackboard Collaborate, and we did all of our advocacy assignments on that. I did all my examinations, my oral examinations, on that same platform as well. So
Hmm.
there weren't any issues. All documents that we needed for our workshops were located on Elite, Blackboard Elite, unless you needed to do research. So for me, I would say that the pandemic didn't really affect my learning at law school. Obviously, the pandemic had effects on mental health, and other things, but in terms
Yeah.
of the impact on my learning from what you law could provide to me, my bar course provider, I would say that they handled that quite well. So how was your experience, Kristen?
My experience was a bit different in that I was subjected wholly online, like fully online, everything. And it was very unique, very different, challenging. All the adjectives you can find really along that line because going from sitting down in a lecture theater with 200 and somebody people to just sitting in your room or your office or wherever you do online classes from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. because our classes usually ran a full day sometimes. It was very difficult, truthfully. In terms of receiving the content, I will say online environment provided for a more effective way of delivering the law, in my opinion. I think that the tutors were able to get creative with using the online space because we did our classes exclusively on Zoom, everything we did on Zoom. So like for instance, in class, we would be able to share our documents live for the entire class to see everybody would be able to critique. So stuff like that just made it, the online environment had its pros definitely, but the cons were definitely there as well in that it's just different, especially for certain we do a lot of reading, So like you're reading on the screen all day, every day. So, I think that that was definitely how the pandemic affected me. Like subjecting me solely to my laptop for 18 hours a day is quite taxing mentally, physically, emotionally. But in terms of the delivery of the actual content, I think that Hugh Wooding Law School did an excellent job making sure that we had our resources. We had all of our manuals and everything on our platform Twin. We had an online library, so they made textbooks available to us from the library at the law school as well, which I'm very grateful for. So they made sure that we had all the resources that we needed. So learning itself, in terms of receiving content, that was fine for sure. They did a great job in terms of the experience of learning. It wasn't that great because of the full online experience at times, but it did have its pros.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much they can do, really. And
Exactly.
it is a blessing to have a university that can provide those resources for you online, because the persons that follow the news here in the UK would know that there were some of our course providers that struggled.
Hmm.
Students were protesting, students took to Twitter and social media to
Hmm.
let their provider know their frustrations, and they also utilize the complaints, the internal complaints mechanism as well, because
Hmm.
some universities fail to provide the necessary resources on the online platform. And we do know
Hmm.
it's difficult. It was
Definitely.
a rapid period to adjust to, so I understand they have difficulties, but at the end of the day, the students pay you money, so that is why
Definitely.
they will complain, and they will let you know, well, we feel as though we've been treated unfairly, so
Hmm.
we need to take to the stage, but we need to speak out about it. But what you did say about reading online as well, because a lot of material is online, in terms of the experience, your eyes, I had problems with my eyes and bad headaches, because
Same.
you're you're seated in front of a computer, which is unhealthy for ridiculously long periods of time. I'm actually in the seat
Correct.
where I did most of my work. We have a
Same. Me too as well.
we have a love-hate relationship, because I was here for so long in this spot. I'm just like, please leave me alone. I don't want to
But,
stay here for
but
the
it's
rest.
familiar with me. It's almost comfortable at this point. It almost is familiar at this point. So it's like, we meet again. you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's just I've sat here for too long, staring at a wall, because my wall is. I put the table right in front of a wall, so there's nothing to distract me. And it's just when
Hmm.
summer starts, I'm not sitting in this spot. Leave me alone.
Yep. It's true. This is the
No,
first time that I've sat here since my exams finished. Actually.